Okay, here we go. Section 3.4 are solving equations with variables on both sides. So kind of what we're accustomed to, but now the variables, x's, y's, or whatever, are going to be on both sides of the equal sign. So some of the same steps. Here's our learning targets, same ones as we've been doing before. So one of the other new things besides the variables on the both sides is maybe number of solutions. So number of solutions possible in an equation. Some equations have one solution. 2x equals 4, I divide by 2, I get x equals 2. One solution. Okay? An equation that is true for all variables, all values of the variables, is an identity. Identity. So the solution of identity is all real numbers. We get an identity, and we're gonna learn about this, but we'll say when our statement is true. And you're gonna find out why. And some equations have no solution. When it's no solution, we get a false statement. Okay, so just keep that in mind when we're solving. I'm going to show you what that means. So our steps for solving linear equations, we're going to go through this in class, but here's some steps that you can read through. You're going to use distributive property first to remove any grouping symbols. We're going to simplify each expression, use properties to collect variables to one side, constants to the other side. Okay? Then we're going to keep solving. We want to check our solution also, though. Alright, so let's try one. So I got 4x plus 1 equals 7 times x minus 1. Alright, number 1, I see some like terms. Those are on the same side, so I'm going to combine those. 4x plus 1x is a single 5x. Plus 1 equals 7x minus 1. Okay, so all I did was combine those like terms. We're going to distribute this 7 now to the x and to the 1. So I get 5x plus 1, 7x minus 7. I just distributed that 7. Now I got to get variables on one side, constants on the other side. I'm going to move the 5x over. Subtract 5x, subtract 5x. Cancels over here. I'm left with 1 equals 2x minus 7. 7x minus 5x. I'm going to add the 7 over to undo that subtraction. Add 7, add 7. I get 8 on this side. 2x equals 8. I'm going to squeeze it in. I'm going to divide by 2 and divide by 2. I'm going to put my answer right up here. This goes away. I can put the x on this side. X equals 4. That is my answer. You should plug that in on your calculator and see if you get. So we would get 4 times 4 is 16, plus 4 is 20. I would get 21 on this side. And if I put 4 over here, I get 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 times 7 is 21. So that checks. Okay? So variables on both sides. What we do is we just subtract them or add them. We move them from side to side. We want to get x's on one side, constants on the other side. So let's try example 2. So I got some grouping symbols, parentheses, so let's distribute that first. So I'll rewrite this, 2x, or 2 minus 15x equals. 5 times negative 3x is a negative 15x. 5 times 1 is 5. Alright? Let's start moving some variables. I'm going to move the x's over to this side. So to undo that minus 15, I'm going to add 15x. I'm going to add 15x. Okay? What do I get here? I get that cancels, negative 15x and positive 15x. Negative 15x and positive 15x over here cancels. So I'm left with 2 equals 5. Does 2 equal 5? No. That's a false statement. That is false. So if it's a false statement, look up here. We have no solution. Have to write that in. That's not the answer. That's part of the answer. We get to no solution because it's a false statement. So when those variables disappear and we get a false statement, 2 equals 5, no solution. Okay? There's a couple U tries, so pause the video, try those U tries. All right, let's do a couple more problems. We only got 2 more problems to do for today. Let's try this one here. I have some parentheses, so I got to distribute. I'll distribute on both sides. That 3's got to go inside. This 3's got to go inside. So 3 times 4x, 12x. 3 times 2 is 6. Equals 3 times 4x is 12x. 3 times 2 is 6. Looks like these things are the same, which might make sense. Let's get the variables to one side and the constants to the other side, okay? So I'll subtract 12x. Remember our wall, we got to do whatever we do on one side, we have to do on the other side. I'm going to move this over to here. This cancels over here. 12x minus 12x, 0. 12x minus 12x over here, it cancels. So I'm left with 6 equals 6. Okay, well 6 equals 6, that's true. That's definitely a true statement. And if it's a true statement, we can look on the front and we're going to say that is our identity. Identity just means all solutions. So any number would work for x in here. And that's how we could prove. We could put anything in here and it would work. Okay, when you get a true statement, identity. Back on that front page, when we got that false statement, there was no solution. Okay, right up here. True is identity. All right, let's do another example. Here I got variables on both sides. So here's my equal sign. I got an x and a minus 10. Here I got a fraction, 5/6 of x, and 1/3 of x, and a negative 7. So I got a lot going on here. Let's get rid of this fraction right away. So we want to multiply this whole equation by one number that would get rid of that bottom number, the denominator. So if I multiplied by 3, I'd get rid of it over here. I'd cancel. I wouldn't get rid here. So we need some multiples of 3. So 3, 6. Well, 6, if I multiplied here, I'd get rid of it. And I multiplied over here, I just make the numerator bigger, which is fine. So I'm going to multiply this whole equation by 6. All right? So everything in here we have to do by 6. So I get 6x. 6 times negative 10, negative 60. Equals 6 times 5/6. So we could do a little work up here. 6 times 5/6, that's 6 over 1. Those 6's cancel and I'm just left with 5. And the x comes along. So I'm left with 5x. Don't forget about the x. 6 times negative 7. Negative 42. 6 times 1/3. Well, we could do it over here. 6 times 1/3. I get 6 over 3, which is 2. And the x comes along. So minus 2x. So this equation is equivalent to this equation. Same equation. I multiplied by 6. I got rid of all the denominators. No more fractions. So now, let's start moving stuff. Before we move anything on this, we want to, before we move stuff across the equal sign, we want to make sure that we have like terms combined. So I have 5x over here and a minus 2x. That leaves me with 3x minus 42. I just combined the like terms. 6x minus 60. Okay? Now let's move the variables to one side. I'm going to subtract 3x, subtract 3x over here. I get 3x minus 60 equals, this 3x goes away, negative 42. Alright? I'm going to add 60 to both sides. Add 60, goes away over here. 3x equals 18. I'm just going to rewrite this up here. 3x equals 18. So now I'm going to divide by 3, divide by 3. The 3's cancel, and I'm left with x equals 6. X equals 6 is my answer. We can plug it in with our calculator and hope we will get an equivalence. So 6 minus 10 is negative 4. This side will work out to be negative 4. Okay, you got 5 U-tries. All right, remember to do the quizzes that are embedded in Zaption. Remember to do those. And then tell us what you know, what you don't know. Maybe the fractions is the hard part. Okay, how are you going to get help? See you tomorrow in class.